You're listening to the Understand Me podcast, where we listen to learn and talk to teach. Life is complex. Let's understand one another. Here we go.
All right, hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jerson Hernandez, and I will be the host of the You, Me, Understand Me podcast, a podcast designed to give our everyday people like you and me a voice in the mainstream media. If you haven't had a chance yet, head over to our website at understandme.blog and read the topic of today's podcast. Today's podcast, episode number 2, revolves around our blog post titled The Shame in Our Game, From Basketball to BasketFALL. For today's episode, I decided to bring in one of my old teammates and a great role model to many of our local youth, specifically in the Los Angeles area, Mr. Omar Lo. He had a historic career at our high school, Robert F. Kennedy, and is currently one of the first members of our high school to play college basketball. Today, we'll discuss the following topics: how basketball is evolving, AAU basketball, and how life continues after basketball. So, without further ado, let's get started. Omar Lo.
Let's go.
All right, Omar, first thing first, introduce yourself. Who are you? Where did you come from? How did you get so tall? And ideally, what are you up to, man? Talk to us.
My name is Omar Lo, born and raised in Koreatown, Los Angeles. Like you mentioned, went to Robert F. Kennedy community schools. So I was like, we were like that first class of kids, to start from the 8th grade and kind of graduate to that 12th year. I think the biggest thing for me is just coming from an African background. Okay. So, I have a lot of discipline and stuff like that, and just understanding, the culture and where I come from. So I think that kind of like helped me and paved the way to like kind of what the person I am now.
Yeah, definitely.
Basketball, people say like ball is life, and I don't want to be like known as a basketball player, but because there's other things I can do, like, as far as like reaching out to the community or stuff like that. So, but right now, currently, I'm playing at California Baptist University.
Nice.
It's Division I in the WAC in Riverside. So, it's been a great journey so far.
Nice.
Where I've been from, So,
okay. So college basketball at senior year, right?
Senior year, yep.
Got you.
Yep.
Any big goals that you're aiming for this year?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with me, I've dealt with a lot of adversity, Out of high school, wasn't really recruited. I went to a junior college in Seattle for 2 years. After that, I went to a Division II in San Francisco, Notre Dame, Denver University, in the Pac West. And then when I was there, I really didn't find that
comfort level,
and there's nothing against them, but I just always wanted a challenge,
Definitely.
And I feel like that's going to help me move forward. So I decided to transfer, and then I found Cal Baptist University, and that's kind of where everything, went. And as far as like goals, I think the biggest thing with me is just staying level headed.
Yep.
I want to be a professional basketball player. I want to play in the NBA and whatnot. But I know like it's a long road. It's going to take time to get there. But I think if I just stay focused and I stay locked in, then for sure I can.
Yeah, no, definitely. Especially like I've known you since high school. Right. My God, like your whole perception and persona has changed since high school. I think the great thing is you remain authentic to yourself. You're still who you are. Like you mentioned, your African heritage, you're still truthful to it.
Right.
And I think the greatest thing that I can say about you is the fact that even though you're progressing more in the sports field, that you're still willing to come back.
Of course.
Inform your community. This is what I'm up to. This is what you guys need to do. Here's how I can help you. And the fact that you're even here advocating for these type of things really speaks to your character. So I commend you for that. But now that you mention it, college basketball, so high school, you're pretty much the man.
Right.
You were all the offense. All right, give it to Omar Lo. Get out of his way.
Right.
After high school, college, what happens there?
I think adversity. So my first year when I went to junior college in Seattle, things didn't click right away. It took time for me kind of to adjust and whatnot. Like, the playing style, I was still growing into my body. I was like 6'4" as in high school, senior year. And then that summer that I came in, my first year, I was like 6'9". So I was trying to like grow my body and stuff like that. But, you're going to deal with a lot of adversity because in college, everybody on the team was the man in high school,
For sure.
So it's like, you got to find things that like what coaches want you to do. And then kind of just max that out, So I think that was the biggest thing as far as like college and high school. But I still have the opportunity to go out and showcase my skills, show my versatility and stuff like that. So things it's not complicated, but it's just more structure and just got to win games,
Yeah, definitely. And talk a bit more about that because for the young high school athlete, they're trying to play college eventually or even make it to the pros.
Yeah.
What's the big difference between high school and college basketball? And most importantly, what's the biggest change that you notice that you can provide advice to how to handle that change?
Right. I think number one is having your priorities straight. So, you know, you get to college, like, oh, party and this and that.
Yeah.
You know, the girls and whatnot. And, you know, the biggest thing is distraction. So
definitely,
if you're level-headed from your senior year of high school and you know what you want, always put in pen to paper. I'm big on like writing goals down and just, you know, staying level-headed, you know?
Yeah, of course.
So I think the biggest thing, and then physicality as well. You know, you have guys that are like 6'10", 6'11", big, stocky and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it all comes down to mental. I think if your mentality is right and
definitely
you're focusing the right way, I think you should be able to go through those adversity and those barrier walls and you should be fine.
Okay. And in terms of like the coaching style, what do you feel is the biggest difference coaching wise? Because I imagine that college basketball, like you mentioned, it is more structure. High school is a bit more freelance.
Yeah.
College structure, did it really make it a bit difficult for you to kind of get in your comfort zone at that time?
Yeah, because I really didn't understand it. You know, I was just like, high school, you know, you're the star or whatnot. You know? And then it's like you get to college and you have other guys around you. But I feel like the biggest thing is like what school you go to and like what that school really like focuses on. Because I know for me, going to Cal Baptist, the biggest thing is like development, you know? So we're focusing on developing players and stuff like that. And then the coaching, if the coaching staff like main focus is to develop players, then I feel like the program all around would be good.
Got you. Do you feel you had sort of a chip on your shoulder or an ego when you first entered the college basketball?
I think for me, it was chip on my shoulder off the rip. I think just because, like, you know, I went to a junior college, you know, I didn't get out of high school. I wasn't getting recruited by USC or UCLA, like, right out of high school. Like, it took me the time I am to get now to be a divisional basketball player. And even then now, there's still adversity that I'm facing, you know, but I think for me, it was never an ego thing. I think it's always been a chip on my shoulder. And I think as further as I go down, trying to be a professional basketball player, there'll always be more chips on my shoulder. Regardless.
Definitely. And I think a great point that you mentioned is ideally that without adversity, there is no progression.
No, not at all.
And ideally within college basketball, you're limited as to how much you can showcase because there is structure. But the fact that you can excel in that box just speaks to how good of a player you are, honestly. If you can excel at one thing, but you're the best at it, I think that can overshadow any type of criticism anybody ever gives you. Now, ideally, in terms of your work ethic, what is it? So, in high school, I met you in middle school. Middle school, 8th grade. You were at the 5. All right? Then, now you're here almost 7 feet practically. Work ethic-wise, how did you approach it? How did you decide, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to commit to, and this is exactly the plan to get to college?
I think the biggest thing is having the right people around me. So I think in high school, like, you know, my high school coach, Miguel Carrillo, Coach Alexander, but I think as far as like Carrillo, he really showed me the ropes and what it takes, you know, to really like, you know, he always talking about adversity or work ethic, using Kobe as an example, like how hard you really have to work at stuff, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, for me, I knew I wanted to play. First, I wanted to play Division I, and then I knew I wanted to play in the NBA. So I was like, okay, so how can I really do that, you know? So
of course.
How can I really become an NBA player? How can I become a divisional basketball player? And I knew like every single day I had to just put in chips every single day. I had to get better every single day. Work on my left hand, work on my right hand, work on shooting, you know, and everything is just repetition, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's the hardest part, I think. It's the fact that when you want something so bad that you're trying to rush it. But when you rush it, it's kind of like, all right, it's not going to work out because you're not being patient enough with the growth. If you're not in love with the journey, you're definitely not going to make it. The fact that, like you mentioned, you started in high school, in like a small tier high school pretty much. Top of that, we weren't even recognized for basketball. It was all soccer. Soccer. And, and so once you establish that presence that, okay, we could potentially be a basketball school, from there on, you go to your junior college, another chip on your shoulder. And from there on, you go to another college, then now you're here at CBU. It's crazy. It talks a lot about the journey and how much adversity and challenges come up with them. But the fact that you can still be consistent with the long-term goal. And I think that's a very important thing to bring to our viewers, that we focus too much on our short-term goals, not enough on our long-term goals. If we know what the long-term goal is, any setback, any challenge, it's going to be motivation. It should be used as motivation. But yeah, definitely. I think the one big thing that must be difficult on your end is just sometimes, I'm sure there's a lot you can do, but sometimes knowing sacrificing, I think that's the biggest thing, especially for our young athletes. And especially me, like I coach kids too at the high school level, and they have this issue where they want to be the man. They want to be Kobe. They want to be like this top athlete where everybody's looking at them. But the art of sacrificing, now that I think is a big difference into today's high school sports as a whole. What do you think about that? The art of sacrificing?
I think it takes a lot of courage, you know? And I think it comes down to like your core values, putting your ego aside, putting your pride aside. I know for me, even right now, there's things I have to sacrifice. You know, as far as like how many shots I'm taking, or maybe I'm not playing on the wing. I'm probably playing on the block, or I'm not playing like in a certain way. I don't have the ball on my hand. The offense doesn't always run through me, you know? I think the biggest thing is finding other things. And that's what I learned about myself this year. Yeah. It's like I can impact the game like defensively. You know, rebounding the ball. Like there's other things I can do. I can master that. And then once I have the opportunity to get in front of like scouts and stuff like that, then I can show my versatility. Then it's like everything comes together. Definitely. So I think now like I'm just so much more of a smarter player now. It's like whatever I got to do. If that's rebounding, defending like multiple positions and just making the easy basket, I'll focus on that. And then I know once it's time for me to get in front of like, you know, scouts and stuff like that, then I'll show my versatility. You know?
It's pretty much the art of preparing for the challenge that's ahead. Once you're prepared for it, once it arrives, it's a breeze, I imagine. It's a breeze,
you know?
Okay. Yeah. Now, in your journey toward college basketball, I do remember you posted a picture with Andre Drummond. Talk about that experience. How did that happen, and how did you even feel? You're a young freshman at that point, I think, right?
That was, I think that was my first year going to Seattle, my junior college.
Okay.
And I came back, we were at the gym, and he just pulled up. Big 7, you know, big body. 7'2". I'm like, oh, shoot, you know, damn, Andre Drummond, you know? But he walked in, I talked to him, I was like, yo, what's up, Andre? And he was like, what's up? You trying to play? And then I think I paid like $30 in like parking because like I was not trying to move my car. So I was like, no, I'm trying to go at this guy. You know, he's in the NBA, so I want to go at him, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
We were playing, I was doing my thing, getting up and down. I was just trying to pick his brain apart, you know?
Yeah.
It's just crazy, you know, like, especially back then where it's like, well, I'm next to an NBA player, you know?
Definitely. And that's pretty much it, because I think a great thing some of my mentors have told me is that if you want to become a star, you try to get as close to the sun as possible.
Yeah.
This is an NBA player. That's where you want to be. You're in the middle where you're in college and NBA. You're right there in the middle. You two meet. How did you feel? Like, how does that even feel, knowing this person right next to you is at the goal that you want to be at?
I think once I started scoring the ball and getting comfortable. And then I was like, okay, like, that's crazy. Like, I don't want to bring up the money, but like, he's making millions. He's in the NBA. He's at the highest stage of basketball, you know? So I was like, oh, okay, like, wow, you know? So I was just, it was surreal. But then once you kind of put that aside, because as a competitor, like, I'm trying to take your head off.
Exactly. You can't be starstruck too long.
You know, you can't, you know, I think a couple minutes, I was like, okay, wow. But after that, I was like, all right, let's get it going, you know? So that's kind of what I try to focus on.
Okay. Whose team ended up winning that game?
I won some games, but he won majority of the games, you know? He had a cool little team.
Okay.
He had a couple of his guys.
Got you. Did you ever have to guard him on the block, or was that you were like,
I did. And he's big body. And I was skinny. You know, I was like 6'7", 6'9", like what, 190. So
how much did you weigh in high school?
Man, I was just looking at my driver's license the other day. My old one, like 6'4", like 160.
Damn, so, dude. And now you're like, how much are you now?
6'9", like 223, 225. So yeah,
that is crazy.
I put on a lot of weight. Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus, man. Like, that must have been a whole shift in diet.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So now, like, looking high school, college, now that you're looking toward hopefully an NBA aspiration, what are you noticing about the current NBA trend? Now, if you're noticing, it's always generational stuff. In the 80s, it was more physical. The 90s, it was more back to the basket. Toward the 2000s, how we are now, it's more guard-oriented. You yourself, what do you consider yourself?
I think what helped me the most was when I was in high school. Like, even though I was tall, I always had guard skills, you know? Like, I wasn't really at the block, back to the basket. You know? I didn't really develop that into my game, honestly. Until, like, last year. As far as, like, really getting on the block, really backing down. So I feel like I had that guard stuff, and then I'm adding this now, so it just makes me a much more well-rounded, versatile player. And I think, that's the biggest thing, you know?
Okay, so you feel you're all positions pretty much.
I think the biggest thing for me, probably playing at the next level, I'll probably be like a 4 or 3, a 3 or 4, you know, very versatile, you know, because, you know, the game is now, you have guys 6'9" that can handle the ball.
Of course.
Ball, you know?
Of course.
So I feel like I've been working on those things since I was younger. Now I just got a little bit taller. I think a great example is Anthony Davis. You know?
For sure.
He was a point guard in high school, and then he grew 6'11".
That's right.
Anthony Davis has bars. He can dribble the ball. He can shoot.
Of course,
you know?
of course.
So it's like, you know, so.
Who do you feel you role model your game after in terms of the NBA? Who do you, top 2 people that are like, all right, I'll need to study him a lot?
I think when I was back in junior college, I watched a lot of like Kevin Durant, stuff like that. But I think as my game has developed more, I watch a lot of Siakam right now.
Oh, so nice.
Yeah, and he played at New Mexico State. That's they're in our conference. So
oh, wow, that's crazy.
Crazy world. I'll say Pascal Siakam. I watch him a lot. I take a little bit of stuff from Giannis as well. And then as far as the ball handling side, I watch Paul George. But I think I think like a realistic comparison, I'll say like Pascal Siakam.
Got
probably,
you. Okay,
Yeah.
for sure. I think it's good. I think the fact that you can analyze certain players, see what you need to take away, that really is going to help you more into your journey.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the progression for the younger athletes in today's world. So one of the big topics I talk about in my blog post is about AAU basketball.
Yeah.
The conditions that they're in right now, what I feel are some of the pros, some of the cons.
Yeah.
And then, did you ever play any AAU basketball? To my knowledge, I don't think you ever did, right?
I never played AAU basketball. Do I regret it a little bit? Yeah, 'cause I feel like I probably would have had more recognition from like bigger schools. But
for sure,
the way how my story is going right now is being the underdog and being slept on. I think that's fine with me.
Yeah.
But I think AAU it's good for like to get noticed, But as far as the game, I don't know how hard guys are really playing. I don't know if they're really like competing, 'Cause I feel like now it's just ball is life, just try to turn up and get dunks and just everybody's flying, which is cool.
Yeah, definitely. Because now the way I'm looking at it now is pretty much because I train kids for basketball as well, and the one thing I'm noticing a lot is that during summertime, the kids that are joining AAU, they're not really working on their skill sets. They're working more on like, or how many games can I play in this week? All right, let me play 13 games or 3 games this week. But how much did you really work in that week on your own skill set? I noticed, for your example, on your end, you didn't play any AAU, but during summer, you were grinding hard.
Yeah.
You were making sure you were prepared for the upcoming season.
Yeah.
The fact that you never played AAU speaks to the fact that you focused that time into developing your skill set to contribute to our high school. So as soon as that happened, boom, college. It's like, all right, I don't need AAU. I have the work ethic already.
Yeah.
Do you think AAU is going in the right direction right now, or it's having a heavy challenge of how to distinguish the finances aspect of it from the skill development aspect of it? What do you think in terms of that? As a college player, somebody who's at that level where they want to be at?
Yeah. It's kind of hard to really say because if you're playing AAU, you're going to have every Division I school in your arena watching you.
Yeah.
Now, the thing with me, like me focusing on myself in the summer, like, okay, nobody was really watching me.
Yeah.
So I think I like to say, like a late bloomer,
Okay.
That's kind of what I was. But as far as the direction, I think it's always going to go in the right direction just based on the fact that you're going to have college coaches at every game.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing now as far as like the games you're being played and, the politics side, that's another topic. But I feel like anytime a kid has an opportunity to receive a scholarship or even to be noticed by a college
scout,
I think that's just a blessing, So I would say it's still going in the right direction just based on the fact of you still have an opportunity to play college basketball,
Yeah, definitely. Now I think just because AAU is becoming more and more popular and there's more and more games every time, eventually some college coach has to be like, hey, this guy is in every AAU circuit. Let me take a closer look at him.
Yeah.
Eventually it should become an opportunity. One of the things I mentioned is the fact that sometimes for AAU, the games are really structured around one player. And that's the one thing I've noticed lately, that for at times during games, let's say player 1, he has other teammates, but we're focusing everything on player 1. All the other teammates are just there. Player 1 is pretty much the most control of it. And I feel like that's a thing that a lot of coaches should begin addressing with their team, that it's to push a team mentality, not an individual mentality, because I think that's one of the things our coaches really pushed on us, that we know Omar might be the best player, but if Omar doesn't trust us, we're not going to go anywhere.
Exactly, yeah.
So in terms like bringing back to sacrifice is important, but I don't think it's taught well enough yet in the AAU level to really focus for high school.
It's not at all, because I think you look at like all these teams, like for example, the team that just won the EYBL this year, like they have like 2-3 guys, like Jalen Green, stuff like that. They know like all the top high school basketball players.
Of course.
You have those 3 guys, and then you have like the other like 7 that are just chilling.
Yeah.
And I think I seen this video of LeBron. He was talking to his son about like, because his son was getting down on himself about like how he made a turnover or he wasn't playing that well. And LeBron was just like, all right, look, like you made that pass there, like you did this there, like
of
there's
course.
other things you can do. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think coaches, like, we do have to kind of like set that boundary early. Like you can sacrifice and stuff like that. You'd be fine. Like you're going to get noticed regardless. You know what I'm saying?
For sure,
So
for sure.
like, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, definitely. So it's at the end of the day, it just comes down to sacrifice. And I think that's the one big challenge AU really has to address right now. It's the fact that it's a team sport. How can we convince these kids that they don't have to score 30 every single game?
No, not at all.
That they could just score 12, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and then still get noticed. All this money going into the programs, I feel at the end of the day, every child that goes there should experience something new that they can bring into the game. Not just play all these games, but definitely establish themselves.
Like the experience. You go to Vegas and Florida, EYBL circuit, and that's experience. So.
Yeah, for sure. And bringing it back to like the stardom aspect of it, I think for a young kid, a young athlete, if you have all the eyes on you, sometimes you can have an ego problem. Sometimes you could really become a big head. Sometimes you can be like, all right, this guy ain't even on my level. Like, for example, let's tying it back to high school. Everybody knew you were the best player.
Yeah.
But the fact that you were still advocating for your teammates, even during against other opponents. Let's say we played a high tier high school. I never once heard you criticize our own teammates. Even when we weren't at that skill level, you were always the leader in terms of, hey, don't listen to these guys.
Yeah.
I know what I got. You're in our team. I'm going to back you up. We're brothers.
Yeah.
Now I'm noticing at times, and especially now at a high school level, like if you have teammates that aren't that skilled, a lot of people would be down on them. They want to support them or uplift them or be like, hey, you know what? Like, hey, don't even say that about my teammate. My teammate, he might not have this, but he can do this well.
Do that, exactly.
In terms of stardom, how did you actually handle the stardom during high school, knowing that all eyes were on you, that pretty much in terms of basketball, you were the main guy? How did you actually deal with it, and how did you actually make it a point to not have that ego arise from it?
I think it just ties back to like my household and like where I came from, you know, like just seeing my mom and dad grind every single day. It took my parents a long time to get their clothing store to even where it is now. And like, and even now that where it is now, that like they never let things bother them. You know what I'm saying? So that ties back to like dealing with stuff as far as high school. It's like stardom is there, but it's like in reality, what have I done? Like,
of course.
I haven't done anything. Like it's good to have it, but it's like I haven't done anything. I don't have UCLA or USC in the gym every game watching. You know, so it's like, you got to put that aside and you got to like trust your teammates. And I think what you just said as far as like the brotherhood is like, we had some good bonds, you know, like we used to record, you know, like record day in the life.
Man.
You know? So it's like
watching those videos, like, it's crazy,
you know? So I was just like, I feel like you just bring that brotherhood together and you just go out and compete. And as far as the stardom, like you just share with everybody, you know, that's why like,
exactly,
you know?
that, I think that's what pretty much distinguishes an athlete from a great athlete. Like we're trying to get back to sacrifice. When you have everything and you're still willing to have everybody eat a piece of it, there's no way that your team can lose because they trust you. They're not like, he's just there for himself. I feel like in modern high school basketball, we all know there's one guy. We all know that guy's the main guy in that team. But it's how that person uplifts everyone that makes him a great leader. Because you could be a great basketball player, but if you can't uplift them and make everybody else better, there's no way you can be a great leader or even reach a high level of basketball to where you can be successful. But yeah, tying it back to stardom, like you mentioned, if everybody eats, then the whole team's going to eat, you'll be successful. Do you feel you're in a position where now your teammates have mentored you in that aspect or you're mentoring them? How do you feel
being
like
at TVU or?
Yeah, in terms of your college experience, because I know when you came in as a freshman, you already seemed that you were very mature. You had a chip on your shoulder. How did they actually help you establish yourself in that program for college?
I think junior college, everybody wasn't recruited high. So everybody had that chip on their shoulder.
Definitely.
Immediately, once you go to junior college, you have a chip on your shoulder. Immediately.
Definitely.
So that's that. And then I think playing Division II, like it's the same thing. Guys are not playing Division I. And now playing at Division I, CBU, like nobody on my team really came from like anywhere big. Everybody has a story. Everybody has a story. You know, we have guys that play at a Division I before, but like didn't get no playing time. Now they're here. We have guys that like weren't highly recruited. Now they're here. So I feel like the whole coaching staff and all the players 1 through 15, we all have a story. Obviously everybody's story is different, but everybody has that chip on their shoulder.
For sure. Do you feel it's more the high school player or the high school coach that makes or breaks your opportunities to be successful in that program? So for example, let's say you're a great player. Does it make a difference if you're the great player or if you're the high school coach? Because there's times high school coach might have favorites. There might be at a point, especially at a young age, they might be like, oh, this guy does everything perfectly. What do you think is, how should a young athlete approach that situation if he's in a position where he's not getting playing time or he's not getting that amount of time he thinks he should get? How would you advise a young athlete to deal with that type of situation?
I think it comes back to your work ethic. You know, you want to be the first guy in the gym. You want to be the last one out the gym.
Definitely.
You know, you see a guy going out, hanging out, partying, you want to do the opposite. You want to go to the gym and work on your game. So I feel like, number one, your core values got to be straight. You got to know what you want. If you want to be a professional basketball player, then you got to start acting like one right away. And it might be hard in high school. Like I have this talks with my younger brother. But it's like, I'm always telling him and just the people I talk to, like,
definitely,
if you want to get somewhere, then you got to start acting like it now. So you put yourself in that position. So like just always working on your game, watching a lot of film, stuff like that will really help you moving forward. So even with me, like there was times in my early year in college where I wasn't getting a lot of playing time and stuff like that. But I know like my work ethic, I'm gonna work hard every single time. So like I'll just always get in the gym and I'll just let everything play out. Just always keep working hard. And
it's a patience game. I think
it's patience, and I think it's marathon. It's not a sprint.
Exactly.
It's really not a sprint. You know what I'm saying? Like you really got to grind. You have to go through adversity and it's long, you know? So you got to just stay focused on stuff like that.
I think, yeah, definitely. Like you mentioned, priority wise, once you can reach a point where you're comfortable in the position you're in and you look at the long-term picture, that really makes it or breaks it, honestly. Right. If you can sit down and say, all right, I might not be getting playing time today, but if I continue to work hard and stay in the gym, eventually my coach will recognize that. And then from there, he will trust me to go and do what I do best. But people give up too much in the middle when the challenge and adversity hits. It's like, all right.
It's hard, though. It's not easy.
It's the mental aspect, too.
It's hard. Like, even now, there's adversity that I still have to face, but it's hard. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen over a month. It takes years. It takes time,
yeah, definitely.
You know? So, I feel like you got to just stay level-headed.
Okay. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be back in a few seconds. All right, and we're back to the Understand Me podcast. So now we're talking about all your success, what you've accomplished ever since after high school, what you're establishing yourself in college, and what you hope to be one day NBA prospect. Ideally now, we're always talking about successes, failures-wise. What have you failed at? What do you think those failures have taught you? And as a whole, what do you really want to advocate to today's youth in terms of failure? Because I feel now it's like, if you fail at something, it sucks. It doesn't feel good. But the fact that you're still consistently working hard, using that as an experience to develop yourself into something. How do you feel? What's been your biggest failure or learning experience in terms of this type of situation you're in?
I wouldn't say not getting recruited or not having playing time is a failure. I wouldn't say like those are my failures, but I would say like, I think adversity, I know I keep using this word a lot, but I feel like adversity is what I face the most. A lot of things been thrown at me. A lot of times where it's like, okay, maybe I'm not really for this basketball game. I don't know. Like, I'm not getting that. So I think it was a mental thing and it was adversity. I wouldn't say failure, but there was a phase where I was going through that. And then you see guys in my recruiting class that graduated from 2015, like some of them are in the NBA now, or some of them are playing overseas making money. So that was some of the things I was like worrying about other stuff. I wasn't worrying about me.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So I think that was a couple of the things. But as far as like things I can advocate towards the kids that I'm talking to now, I think the biggest thing is really just finding that love and that passion, and then really just focusing and really just dedicating your time to your craft.
Definitely.
Know? So whatever that is, make a schedule. I think with me, like I have a notebook. I like schedule when I eat. When I have my protein shakes, when I work out, really just putting pen to paper and really just coming up with a game plan. You come up with that game plan and you just execute it,
Okay, so it's pretty much like you're your own coach in this sense.
In a sense, because at the end of the day, like nobody got you like how you got yourself. You know what
exactly.
I'm saying?
That's true.
And
it's true.
I've been using this word for so long, like bet on yourself. I've been using that slogan for years now. It's just because like you got to believe in yourself before anybody else can. Exactly. You really got to you got to bet on yourself. You got to take chances, So I think doing that, finding a slogan that really defines you, sticking to your craft, doing that, and then that'll put yourself in a position to be successful.
Yeah, for sure. I think once you're authentic to yourself, once you're confident in who you are, what you're capable of, nobody can stop you at that point.
Not at all.
If you're really confident in what you're doing, you know 100% that it might not be good right now, but if you slowly chip at it, eventually you'll get there.
For sure.
Definitely. I think that work ethic is really miraculous in that sense. So your lowest point, I feel, might be that one day you were like, man, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Now, what was your highest point? What was the point where you were like, oh, damn, like I would have never imagined this my whole lifetime that this would have happened?
I think playing Division I, or at least being on that stage, and then playing against other NBA players. Once I got on the court with a couple NBA guys, and once I started seeing my body develop, or every time I come back home and people in my corner, people like, like I have guys that are in my corner that like I really stick with. They're telling me like, yo, like Omar, I see that you're getting better at this. Like, so like, I think with me is like only words that I care about are from the people that are in my corner and in my parents, my family. Anybody else has anything to say, I really don't care, So
got you.
So me seeing that, if they're seeing my progression and then I'm seeing myself, then I know I'm on the right track. So those are my highs.
So it comes down to who you're listening to pretty much. Because I'm sure there's a lot of chatter.
Yeah.
Okay. Then definitely, if you have a good social circle, a good mentors, friendships, then you can only go uphill, really. You can't really go downhill unless you have bad friends, honestly. But, okay, so college, knowing you're playing with NBA players now, you feel like you're almost there. You're at that goal. What else do you have to work on that you feel could get you to that next level? Because I think one thing that a lot of athletes have to deal with is the fact that knowing what to work on when you haven't been challenged. So, for example, let's say you're playing in an easy school or you're playing an easy competition. You'll think you're the best. How do you actually establish yourself in a position where you can find out what you're not good at? How do you identify those weaknesses for your own game?
I think if you're playing against professionals, they're going to go at you. They're going to test you. That's one. Two, playing at different levels of colleges, it's only going to get harder the level you keep going up. So junior college, Division 2, Division 1, it's only going to get harder from there.
Yeah.
So then I feel like just the position that you're put in. So if I got into a position where it's like, okay, you have a top athlete guarding you, like how am I scoring the ball or how am I stopping somebody? So I just feel like there's this challenge that you're going to face throughout, and you got to just see where you're at.
Okay.
In reality.
Yeah, definitely. Now, in terms of your specific skill set, how do you think it's going to translate into the NBA? Do you feel you would have a much easier time or harder time adjusting to it?
I think I'll do great, just on the fact that I think one, like my length, versatility, I can guard multiple positions, and then I run the floor pretty good. I can get out in transition. Long, athletic, and then I think the skill set is there too. But I think the biggest thing with me is just consistency. Being consistent with my jump shot, just overall, and just staying focused on the court, on and off the ball. I think those are a couple things that I should work on.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So just small things.
Yeah.
Got it.
Fine tuning my game, fine tuning my footwork, stuff like that.
Okay. Now, so for your specific situation, you're in a very promising position. You faced adversity. You started at the bottom. Now you're getting closer to the top.
Right.
What exactly do you think? For example, the thing I always tell the kids I train with, it's that if you can get to college basketball, definitely strive to that because that's going to be one of the best experiences you ever have.
Yeah.
But if you don't reach that height because, let's say, it just wasn't meant to be, you should still use basketball as a platform, as a traveling guide, as a car to take you to the next level into your life. Because I feel like nowadays we're in a position where we have coaches where they're like, oh, you're the person that's the best, you don't have any flaws, or focus on yourself, don't focus on your team. I feel that as a great coach, you should not only instill with them skills, basketball skills, but life traits, life experiences that they can really use outside of basketball. How do you feel that you're brought up with all these college coaches, basketball coaches have really influenced yourself as a character?
Well, I just think like I've had multiple coaches. When I went to Seattle, like I had to pay my own bills. I was in a different state. I was far from home, up north. I had to make my own dinner, stuff like that. Trying to figure my stuff around, what I was going to eat at night. And going to the school in San Francisco.
Definitely.
Being away from home again. I just think like, with basketball, like for one, like the biggest thing to me is like I stayed in school to get my degree.
Oh, I see.
And now I have a platform where like I'm majoring in communications.
Definitely.
Now I have a platform now where it's like I can use that degree towards, I think with me, I kind of want to get into like, marketing in a way.
Okay.
So like, I kind of want to like have a platform for like other kids who went through situations where like they're dealing with adversity and stuff, like how they can get to their goals. So I'm trying to figure out what exactly that is, but something around where I can create like a foundation where it's like kids have an opportunity to come in, learn, and then have a chance to move on moving forward.
Got it. So ideally, like post basketball, it's just influencing your community to get them.
It's bigger than basketball. It's bigger than basketball.
I see what you're saying. But basketball is the platform at the end of the day.
It's the platform. Yeah.
Got it. Wow. Yeah. I mean, ideally, that's case scenario. So you pretty much have your whole like strategy laid out. And now it's about executing at this point.
The biggest thing is like you gotta have a game plan. Like I have a game plan. I know exactly what I want to do. I know how I want to do it. Everything is not. I don't have the right pieces everywhere, but I know like I want to do this. I want to be a professional. I want to get back to the community. I want to have a place where I can reach out to kids and give them an opportunity. I just want to be the voice. Everybody can sit here and say like, oh, I can put on for LA, but I'm really putting on for like Koreatown. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where I really grew up from.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's kids in Koreatown that they want to be a professional. They want to play college, and they see somebody like me that had the chance to do that.
Self-awareness.
So okay, so like maybe I can do it too. So I think that's the biggest thing. Really putting on for like Koreatown and putting on for like the people, the minorities is the biggest thing for me. For sure.
So yeah. At the end of the day, when basketball is over, when you retire, once everything is done and set forth, who is Omar Lo? What do you want to be remembered for? Because like I know you mentioned, you're not just a basketball player.
It's bigger than that.
What do you really want your legacy to be at the end of the day? Who is Omar Lo?
I think Omar Lo is going to be somebody who dealing with adversity and comes back to just being a family man. I think I want to leave behind a legacy that like you can go through certain things in life, whatever that case is, and you can overcome anything. So I just be like, just staying humble. Somebody that was humble, somebody that had a strong work ethic and always wanted to get back and just be there. I think that's the biggest thing. Wow, definitely.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Let's close it out with that powerful statement from the very person himself. Omar Lo, tell us about what you got going on right now, where we can find you on IG, Facebook, where we can get a handle of you, and just plans coming up.
Yeah, so I have about like 4 more days left in LA, and then I'll be going back to Riverside. We'll start our fall training, and then from there, our first game is November 5th.
Got it.
So I'll try to get as many tickets as I can, for guys to come out. Sure. Yeah, you can find me on IG as _Omar Lo.
Got it.
And I'll reach back to those who really just trying to learn more about my story and who want to reach out. And yeah, I'm just always going to be grinding, always going to try to work. And, that's the biggest thing.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Omar Lo. Thank you for stopping by, Omar.
No problem.
Let's go.
You've been listening to the Understand Me podcast. Tune in next time as we continue to change the world, one voice at a time, one person at a time. Visit our website at understandme.blog. Visit our blog and follow us on our social media. See you next time.